Well, hello everyone. There's something that I really need to talk about. I had a note on my desktop to make this video um, a while ago, and I just kind of procrastinated. It takes. I got to sit down and put my thoughts together and do these videos, and usually I'm working off notes and some background research and stuff. Uh, so it takes a little bit of preparation, and I have a long list of topics that I want to talk about, and sometimes I'm kind of unfocused in terms of when I'm getting these out. But I keep seeing these rapture dreams that people are sharing on YouTube. Hundreds and thousands of rapture dreams. And once you've watched a couple dozen of these, YouTube just starts force feeding these into your feed, and before you know it, you're inundated with rapture dreams from all manner of people: kids, older folks, men, women, young, old. Everyone's having these rapture dreams, and have been really for. You know what? Let's just take a peek here. Rapture Dream. Well, let's first do Rapture Dream 2023. Let's see how many results we have for this. So people have been having these rapture dreams for a very long time. But it's really just kind of exploded, I'd say, in the last year and a half. 2024. And anyways, let's maybe just do a search and not constrain it. But there's just a ton of these of rapture dreams. We're all having the same rapture dream. It's coming, and a lot of people are putting a marker on this as it's going to be the Feast of Trumpets at some point in September. Now, no one can really seem to agree on the exact timing, and I've heard some explanation for this being that this feast starts when a certain phase of the moon is observed, and so because the exact timing of that is not always known, the start of the now this is interesting. This is my view that the pre-trib rapture is false. Anyway, I haven't seen that video, but anyways, there's a lot of people who are saying it's going to be in September. The exact timing unknown, because the exact timing of this biblical feast, the Feast of Trumpets, is unknown. And let me say something. It's very possible that the rapture will actually end up being in September during this Feast of Trumpets period. Very possible. Do I think it's going to be this year in 2025? I don't. And I have people, I just put a comment on somebody's rapture dream. Whenever I try to leave a comment and leave some breadcrumbs for folks, saying, hey, this does not align with the scriptures. It's not going to be this year. Now, I mean, I hate to rain on people's parades, but it's worse in my mind that you have all these people building up a false hope that we're going to be whisked out of here before things get really rough. And when that doesn't happen, or when some deception is raised up and implemented by the world system, people are going to be deceived, they're going to be discouraged, and I think they're going to fall away. And the Bible does say that there's going to be a falling away first. Anyway, let me just read this verse because it is relevant. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The Antichrist is going to be on the scene, and we're going to know who it is before the rapture occurs. Has that happened yet? It has not. The abomination of desolation has not happened yet. And if we look at Daniel and the timing there, the abomination of desolation, which is where the Antichrist goes into a rebuilt temple and declares himself to be God, that happens about 3.5 years after the daily sacrifices are taken away. And as I talked about in a recent video, the daily sacrifices have not even started up yet. We're getting close. There are practice runs early in July of sacrificing the red heifer. The real thing hasn't happened yet. The daily sacrifices have not been brought back yet. And so if the daily sacrifices haven't been brought back yet, they can't cease. We're not there yet. And so we have the daily sacrifices, then we have 3.5 years, then we have the abomination of desolation. That's when the Antichrist goes into the temple, claims to be God. At that point, the entire world knows that's the Antichrist. That's kind of like the definitive event there. And while I think during the 3.5 years there's going to be some foreshadowing as to who it's going to be, it's obviously going to be a powerful world leader who has made some treaties and agreements with nations such that they are able to go into a rebuilt temple. They have the authority and the ability to do that at that point. So there's going to be foreshadowing as to who it is. But as I mentioned, that day shall not come. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Now here's my thought, and this is pretty scary to contemplate. What could cause a falling away? Well, what if millions of Christians are led to believe that there's going to be a rapture, that it's certain, and it's going to happen in a certain month, in a certain span of time, and then it doesn't happen? Could that generate a ton of discouragement and disappointment? Could that instigate a falling away from the faith? It absolutely could. And I just warn all these people who are having these rapture dreams, this is not biblically consistent. When you study prophecy, the timeline is not correct. There's something I really want to mention and I want people to think about. The Left Behind movies. So this is Tim LaHaye theology, Tim LaHaye eschatology. This is the idea that the next thing on God's calendar of event, and that's literally the wording that is used in this little handbook of Bible doctrines that I had, that I studied when I was in Christian high school in Bible class. It says that the next event on God's calendar is the rapture. And then they had this nice little timeline laid out and everything in the book, but they never substantiated that statement or the timeline from the scriptures. And I've been very careful in my prophecy videos to substantiate the timeline that I'm giving you guys with the scriptures. That's important to me, because the scriptures are our source of information. So the Left Behind franchise, because that's what it is at this point, 5 films, 2 spin-offs. The Left Behind franchise, this, when people hear the word rapture, this is what they think of. They think of people just being, sort of vacuumed out of their clothes all of a sudden, and that's the beginning of the tribulation. But let me ask you a question. When has Hollywood ever endorsed or gotten Bible prophecy or theology correct in the past? They're really hitting this hard. 2000, 2002, 2005, 2014, and then there was a more recent one, 2023, and then there's a couple spin-off videos. I don't know when they were. But they have some big name actors in some of these movies. Nicolas Cage in the 2014 version, if I remember correctly. Big money going into some of these. Now, not big compared to, some of these mega blockbusters or whatever, but, 20 million for, which movie was this? Release date, box office. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is that this is almost propaganda or predictive programming, but not necessarily correct predictive programming. It's sort of like brainwashing people into expecting a certain thing to happen that may or may not happen. And as I said, this idea of the rapture being the next thing on God's calendar of events, it's not biblical. There's prerequisites for it. And so I'm just looking around and I'm really concerned because there's just a ton of people jumping on this bandwagon. Oh, it's got to be this year. It's got to be during September. It's got to be during this Feast of Trumpets time period. It could very well be during the Feast of Trumpets at some future date. but I firmly believe that we must be at least 3.5 years away from the rapture still, because of just the timeline that's laid out in Daniel. So we have this indeterminate period where the daily sacrifices are in place, and that's going to be a real interesting indicator when those start up again. We're on the cusp of them starting up again. It's going to be really interesting, because that's going to tell Christians who are discerning and paying attention and studying their scriptures where we are in Bible prophecy. And at this point, then we'll know that when the sacrifices stop, then our 7-year hourglass or countdown timer has begun. And we'll know where we stand. And actually, at that point, once the sacrifices cease, Christians who are informed should know the timeline of everything that happens next after that if we've studied the scriptures. And we'll know what to expect, and we'll know when the rapture will be, which is a little bit past the midpoint of the tribulation period. When Hollywood tells you something about the Bible, and it's super popular, and you're just seeing that mindset and that view sweep throughout popular culture and mainstream Christianity, you really ought to take a step back, scratch your head a little bit, think about it, study the scriptures, and see if what you're being told fits with the scriptures. I am deeply concerned that people are being set up for extreme disappointment this year. And unfortunately, the more attention, the more people that jump on the bandwagon, the more people speaking out about this stuff, the more hype there is, the bigger the letdown for people when it doesn't happen. And the bigger a disgrace and a shame it is to Christianity in the eyes of the fallen world when these things don't take place. Oh, those foolish Christians, they set another date and they were wrong about it because they didn't study God's Word. And it's discouraging to see. Now, some people are going to criticize me, and they're going to say, why are you raining on these people's parade who are having these rapture dreams, John? Why are you doing that? Because I do believe that they're deceived, and I think they're setting themselves up for disappointment, and they're setting other people up for disappointment. It's wishful thinking. Look at all the people who are watching this stuff. Well, I mean, okay, let's be clear. YouTube manipulates all the numbers, so none of these are correct. Almost certainly. YouTube tends to inflate or deflate numbers for various things, and of course suppress certain videos, elevate certain videos, and so forth. But if, let's just say that these numbers are correct, they're pretty disturbing, pretty large numbers, and this is just a handful of these videos. There are just tons and tons and tons of these videos with collectively millions and millions of views, and just hyping this thing up. I would love to be wrong about this. I'm going to be clear with you. I mean, you guys saw that I asked for prayer about a week ago. Things aren't going great for me and my family right now, and I'm tired. I'm beat. I'm worn out. It doesn't look like there's any light at the end of the tunnel. I'm pretty discouraged in life right now. I would love to be out of here. I've had enough. Let's be clear. Life sucks. And I know that a lot of other Christians are in this mindset too. Life is difficult. The church has not been faithful. We haven't spread the word. And so we're seeing our loved ones descend into sin and wickedness and debauchery, and we're seeing society fall and crumble because we haven't been light, we haven't been salt collectively. It's all falling apart around us, and we're beginning to realize that it's going to get to the point where it's going to be a real nightmare living on this earth. It's going to be a real hellscape. I mean, pardon my language, but that's just literally the reality of it. And none of us want that, and so there's this wishful thinking that, wouldn't it be nice if Jesus calls us out before there's any suffering to be experienced? And the argument gets used that, well, God's not going to punish his bride, the church, for the sins of a world that has rejected him. And that's absolutely true. But the tribulation's divided into parts. The rapture's a little bit past the midpoint. And the first half is just Well, some people have described it as the wrath of man, and then the second half being the wrath of God. The first half is just consequence, really, of human evil. And the lead up to the rapture is a lot of it is just consequence of human evil and these conspiracies and machinations that have been going on behind the scenes, playing out and killing more and more people and just causing destruction in the earth and pollution and poisoning the world and poisoning the human genome, poisoning our children, causing infertility and disease and cancer and all these other things. That's just consequence of human depravity. And all of us, every Christian ever, has always been living in a world of choice and consequence where we've been subjected to the consequences of human depravity. That's just always how it's been. Yes, we will be out of here at the midpoint of the tribulation period before that final 3.5 years, which is when God dispenses his wrath on the earth. So, yes, those who say that are correct. God is not going to put his church through the wrath of God when he's judging this world for rejecting him. But people have the timing wrong because they haven't studied the scriptures. And, well, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope that in a few months, when we hit that Feast of Trumpets, that I am absolutely wrong. I hope I am absolutely wrong. I'm just going to say that here. I'm going to say it now. I hope I'm absolutely wrong. And I hope we're all out of here. And, we can get this show on the road. But that's not how it's going to be. And mark my words, October 2025, Feast of Trumpets will have come and gone, and we're all still going to be here. Then what? Then what, folks? So I know this isn't the most cheerful message, but I'm trying to set people's expectations because it is going to get... It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. Well, thanks for listening. God bless. And, yeah, I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Bye.